today, as you know, and I hope you're already used to, is usually a day of monthly reports. But because Deep Funny is always innovating, today we're going to innovate and skip on the monthly reports as well. So today, what we have instead is an important discussion about the circles, about payments and the payment schemes. And hopefully we'll have a honest conversation where we can all chime in for each circle and explain which payment scheme is better for each one of us. And yeah, hopefully that's going to be exciting. Also, in terms of organization for the session today, well, wait, before getting into that, thank you to everyone who actually filled their monthly reports. I think this is important as a start. And they are still going to be live on your Circles page in the community website. So if you came here by any chance to watch any monthly updates from the Circles, there won't be any today, but you can go to the community website, check what the Circles have done this month, and stay on top. Of course, next month we'll resume with our normal agenda and we'll have monthly updates and presentations here. So looking forward for that because I don't know about you, but I always like to know the progress we are having each month. Coming back now to the topic of today and the payment schemes, as I was saying, I hope we can have a good and honest conversation and come to better outcomes. And to start in terms of organization, I think I'll give up the floor to anyone who wants to say something. So if you want to start, if you want to talk about this topic, you can raise your hand. If not, and as Jan mentioned the last time, it would be great to have at least one insight from each of the circles. So we will try to call for the circles and to try to get at least one insight from what you think is the best way to organize the payment scheme. And I think Jan has his hands on. Jan, you want to say something?
Yes. So very glad everybody's here. I'm really curious what you are going to propose. Just want to make sure that it's not about increasing the whole pie of payments that we are distributing among ourselves. It's about doing it in the fairest way, in a way that everybody here feels I get a fair share for what I am doing. We might increase the pie, if there's also more output, if we are doing more things, if we're doing more activities. On that note, Victor created an overview of all your proposals, also budget estimates done in last week. And roughly, the total budget almost doubles from what it is today. Now, that is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, we're growing, we're doing a lot of things. The event circle here is a good example with starting to work on community budgets, etc. However, that's not the conversation we need to have today. Today is not about the size of the pie, it's about how we are distributing it. What is the best way to do that with the least overhead and the most fair outcomes? And what I would propose to do first, I asked Edwin here from the Analytics Circle, the Analytics Circle who's evolving great and also a new thing, something that is added to our portfolio and to our output. To give us a quick walkthrough, maybe 5-10 minutes through a dashboard that he created based on all the payments that have been done over the past year or so. Actually, it goes back a little bit further, but the last year is most relevant right now. And yeah, I'll leave it to Edwin to educate you on this, and I leave it to all of you to make your opinions about that and conclusions on that, and think about how that relates to what you're going to propose and the situation of your particular circle or you as a person. So Edwin, are you ready to give us a short presentation
Yeah. Hello,
to the
everyone.
page?
Yeah, let me share my screen first. Okay. Okay. Is my screen visible?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so we got the data. This is a year and a half data which we got from the operations team based on all the payment that was made. So we made a report. This is our report which we can share with VeroCircle to go through later at their leisure. But I'm going to go through this report quickly. We'll see that the report, the dashboard is in this link, which is access to everyone who has the report. We analyze the data, and I'll be particular with this year's year, starting from January to December. We look at the performance metrics, the time-based trends, and categories. So I'm going to have the dashboard opened right here. So over here, we can see the total payment that we made. We made 102,000 USD across all circles. And I said, let me start from January, since this is when most circles started, the activity started. So we can see the trend of payment. Now, if we look at the activities, you can see from April, starting from March to April, our activities shot up. We can see right from here going down. And more interestingly, our $10 rate versus the $20. So we saw that many circles started logging in more 20 hours from this period, from April downwards. And I think overall the activities shut down in December. So we can see the time and tax spent over the circle. I think in May, that's when we had our May 2024. That's when we had our largest tax being logged in, and notably from the review circle. And I think I learned that was a time where we had around 4, so it's explainable. So we can see the various circles hours spent over the time when you start from February. We can see which circle is logging in more hours over the course of for the year. Now, when we look at this pie, we can see that out of this budget that we have, we are paying more for $20 tax. It seems and less of a $10 tax. We notice this trend as you can even see here, more of the taxes, more of the payment that were done were for $20 tax. Now we look at the circles. These are the circles and the hours that were spent over the course of the year. The highest, of course, was the marketing circle, followed by the review, the operations, the events, the dev outreach, and the focus group. Now the blue signifies the $10 tax of each circle. We can see operations team, they have more $20 tax. Maybe their tax is peculiar. We don't know. And marketing circle had the most tax being logged in. When we look at our $10 versus $20 payment, we saw an increase in trend. Not only the tax, but over the course of these years, most circles were logging in more 20 hours, more $20 tax versus the $10 tax over the course of the year. And when I go back to the report, when I look at the circle, the pie, as I've already said, marketing team has the largest take on the pie, followed by the review, the operations, and the focus group. And if we delve into individuals, where is individuals? Okay, I think it's loading. Okay, so we can see the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The top 6. If we look at the what do you call it, $10 and $20, they seems to be logging more $20. I don't know who they are, but the share of the pie in terms of individual is not evenly. Maybe they are doing more tax. And the question that the analytics team raised was, what really is the metrics for 20, what tax is worth 20, what tax is worth 10. We didn't, is it really defined or was it not, what do you call it, related well to circles? Because it seems there's a disparity. Some have a lot of 20 tax than other circles. So we should define these metrics over the course of the year so that it is clear to everyone. Then the next thing was in terms of the tax that were logged, if we can categorize the tax. I mean, if let's say we have 10 categories of tax, when you are logging in, you just look at the tax, that's what you are implementing. It should fall under one of the tax so that we can group all these tax in circles. Maybe every circle should have a set of categories. Then they can, okay, coordination. So we have the coordination category, maybe research category, anyhow, each circle will, what do you call, look at it. Maybe it might differ from circle to circle. So it will help so that we can see the trend of tax. We can see how each tax is being recurring. We can, what do you call, draw some analysis and insights over there. And all this will be to help each circle grow. I mean, so that we have a fair share of the pie, as Jan was saying. We'll see which circle needs more budget raised and all those kind of things. It will influence the decision that the board will take. Yeah, I don't know if I'm leaving something. I'll try to make it brief. So basically, the analytics circle will be looking to partner with all these circles so that we can draw insight from what each circle is doing. We can give advice. I mean, we see the trend. Okay, maybe we did this, and I think that's why it failed. So that we can, as a third view, we can look at things and give advice so that we can structure things in a more convenient way and we can grow the circle as a whole. Yeah, so I think, yeah, I'm done. If you have any questions, I'm open.
Thank you, Edwin. Great presentation. And yeah, I think it's wonderful that we have an analytics circle that can make, and Edwin particularly, that can make such a nice dashboard that will give us so much insight. I think we can use that a lot. I think there are two graphs on this chart that are particularly telling. If you scroll down a little bit, Edwin, yeah, that one. No, the one with all the bars. You see there are a number of individuals in the organization that get the majority of their hours being paid in $20. And there are also a number of people that uniquely get paid $10 rate or below. So I think that's an important one. And if you go a little bit down, I think we also see the trends, and I think what is a little bit confusing here is one graph is in pay in tasks and the other is in budget. But you see there's an increase over time. It seems that people are feeling more and more liberal in allocating their tasks towards $20 hours. Which is not totally surprising. I guess it's human nature. We get into that and it's easy. And there are always reasons, right? There are always reasons to explain why a certain task should be 20 and not 10. But these two things combined are especially worrying because some people are getting more and more liberal while other people don't. So there is going to be a divide here. And actually there is already a divide here. You can see that in the other graph. And I don't think this is where we want to go, unless we have very good arguments why this is the case. But if I look back when we started this whole thing, the reason why we went for those two rates, 10 and 20, is that we figured that each circle would have one or two coordinators. And these 10 versus $20 rates were not people-based, but they were role-based or task-based, I should say, task-based. And we figured there were some tasks that might not be very popular. And things like pushing everybody if there is a deadline, making sure that things are done on time, organizing the work, checking people's invoices and checking people's work. Those are not things that a lot of people don't feel comfortable with. Yeah, also criticizing and steering other people. One part of us hoped that this would be a task that in the circle would rotate, that different people would have do the same thing, but in different terms or something. We don't see that happen, to be honest. We see more a hierarchy happening somewhere. It's very hard to not have hierarchies emerge and try to keep a flat organization, but we are continuing to take an effort there. Unless we all together we feel that the hierarchy is a better solution. But yeah, when we thought about this, when we made that measure for the $10-20 hour, we thought maybe 10% of the hours would go into the $20 bucket, meaning that 20% of the budget would be allocated to that higher rate. I think if we leave this alone, don't interfere, it will be the other way around, that only 20% will remain at $10. So we are inflating here. So before thinking about measures and thinking about what to do with it, how to assess this even, we have this meeting. And yeah, I and Raphael and me and the focus group as well would like to ask each circle, what do you think of it? And what is your proposed solution going forward? What would for your circle be the best way to make sure that whatever the budget is and whatever the task that you're doing are, what would be the best way to have a fair distribution of the rewards with a minimal overhead for everybody involved? So that's where we are. So before we go to the presentations, are there any questions right now on the dashboard that Edwin showed, on anything else? Vani.
Yeah, thanks, Edwin. It's super cool. It's really interesting. I was going to first ask, are we able to have a link to it so we can explore it in more detail? But the other question I wanted to ask is, I can't quite work out whether it's that different tasks are being done now than were being done before, or are people actually reallocating tasks that used to be paid at a tenner to $20? Because that's a really different kettle of fish, isn't it?
Edwin, would you like to comment on that? Or
Come
should
again, I didn't really get the question. The last question.
If I may, Edwin and Jan, I think I can manage to answer. I was auditing initially before the analytics team jumping in to bring more regular insights from it. And what I saw when auditing was exactly the fact that not only some tasks that used to be $10 became 20, but also with the new demands from deep funding, new processes that we are creating, new circles, it started to happen. Members that were executing these tasks determined by themselves that, no, this is a really hard task. So it's not at $10, it's at $20. Without communicating, without saying why, it's just because they felt that was a hard job to do, and then they jumped to the $20. And this was a trend that I noticed when I was taking a look at the payments and invoices and spreadsheets, and raised my concern to start and discussing with Jan to start this process of what we should do now, right? And then here we are, having these insights from data analytics and etc. You made a question in chat, right, Vani?
So there has been a change in the allocation of why we are using the $20. It was at the beginning targeted at a very specific task, like you have responsibility over others. And now people seem to have the idea that it's more related to the complexity of the task, which is quite a different thing. Another thing here, to answer these kind of questions better in the future, I think that is one of the advices that one of the main advice that Edwin gives in his document, is that we need to have a better categorization of tasks. Right now, every task is added as a kind of textual line. But it would be great if in the future we have 5 or 7 categories per circle. They can be different per circle, of course. And that will allow us to better see over time the trends in the amount of tasks that are being done, the type of tasks that are being done, perhaps also the payment, but that depends also on the outcome of this meeting. So good question. I hope we have answered it based on the available data that we have today.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks.
Anybody else has a question before we dive into the presentation? And we should be going there by now with looking at the clock. Not sure how long your presentations will be, but would be great not to make it longer than necessary, so we can also have some conversation afterwards if we have time left. Ayo.
Oh, yes. Thank you. So I just wanted to ask if we have an idea of what the percentage is now for 20s and 10s.
You see it right on the screen here. So if we look at the budget, then 2/3 of the budget is being paid at $20. Actually, this is all time. And since it's increasing, I would expect that if we would filter over the last 2 or 3 months, I haven't tried that, that it might even be leaning more towards the $20. So it's the circle in the middle. You can also in the dashboard filter it not by budget, but by hours, by task, by number of tasks or hours, I believe. And then you will see it's about 50-50. But because $20 task converts to a higher budget, if you measure it in budget, then it's 2/3 of the budget.
All right, thank you. It'd be nice to see what it looks like within the past 6 months to correspond with the half-yearly report.
Okay, so we say tax this month will be somewhere August.
Yeah, August, 1 August, 1 July.
Yeah, didn't change much.
Yeah, I think also December is a little bit off here. So
Of course.
due to the holiday. So yeah, well. But you have the link in the app, so we can dive into this later. This is also not about pointing fingers. If anybody is to blame, it's Raphael, me, that we didn't make clearer rules on that, and that we didn't already see this going on 6 months ago. But we are where we are, and this is a good place to review and to improve. Anthony?
Yeah, everybody. Hi, everybody. So my observation is that if you look at the x-axis on the plot, as soon as round 4 concluded, it was almost like as if there was an increase in participation. You get, so there was an increase in new members joining circles. So I think that there was a misunderstanding in communication, basically. As new members joined, how they interpreted the $10 and $20, it became obvious, basically. I'm not even in any circle, but if I was to choose based on the tasks that I will most likely handle, I would have picked $20 because I will judge it by the complexity of the task.
Yeah,
Not
so there might be part of that, Anthony. Sorry, I'm cutting you short, but also because we want to move on to the circle presentations. But it's not the case that it's the new members that ask for 20 and it's the seasoned members that ask for 10. It's almost the other way around, I would say. So there might be some truth to your proposal, but it's not the entire picture here. But let's see. Maybe we can go back on this. I see some more comments coming in, but I would suggest that we get on with the presentations. Who would like to kick it off? Maybe you can stop sharing, Edwin.
Okay.
And I'll hand it over to Rafael Cardoso, the presentation, so you can lead us through the presentations.
All right, sure. As Jan mentioned, does anyone would like to kick it off? If not, I think we can, I guess, follow the same order we've always followed for monthly updates, half-yearly reports, and everything. Starting with the voice of experience, the first circle in deep funding, which would be the focus group. I don't know if you guys want to say something about this, say what you feel is the best method for your circle. I see here, for example, I see all the focus group, Vanny, Ubio, Tommy. Would any
We
one of
haven't
you would like
actually
to say
thought
something?
about who's going to say, but we did kind of cover it in our half-yearly report, so I could just quickly say what we've said, if that's helpful, or do you want to, Tommy or Ubio? All right, I'll take that as a no. Yeah, we've talked about this for quite a while, actually, and we think that I'm afraid we haven't got a presentation. We didn't do any slides or anything, but for a monthly spend test for the way that we work, because there's three of us, we all kind of do the same amount of work, even if it's different kinds of work at different times, and it's all quite regular. It's not like, like in some circles, there's a period in the year where you do loads more and a period where you do loads less. Ours is really consistent, so it feels like we can look at what we've done in the past and look at our intentions for the next 6 months and come up with a figure that we think is fair for each person per month. So that's our take on it.
All right. Jan, should we move on to the other circles, or should we leave space for some discussion? I don't think that it makes much sense to discuss right here.
Yeah, I don't know what the best is. Sometimes you want to have the discussion immediately because otherwise you forget it. So maybe we can, after each session, have a quick round, see if there are any questions or any
Yeah.
remarks.
I see a lot of cool discussions in the chat, but I feel people want to talk not exactly about a specific circle directly for those discussions, but it seems like more general discussions about the rates and what this data could mean. But I don't know, does anybody want to say something specifically right now, or should we move on with each circle and maybe open up for discussion in the end where we can talk about, I guess, anything? Does anyone has a preference? If not, I guess I'm selecting. All right, let's move on to the next circle then. Awesome. So we've had the focus group. Now let's move on and maybe go with the review circle. I'm trying to see if we have any representatives for the review circle here that would like.
Yeah, I'm here. Yes,
Hey, awesome.
Slade here.
All right, Slade, please go ahead.
Okay. Yes, same here. We don't actually have a separate presentation or specific presentation for this, but we did discuss this with the circle members and in a couple of meetings. And through those meetings, most of us, actually all of us, were agreeing upon what we have been following previously as the payment system, which is that in your activity list, we put the amount of hours that we spend on a specific task, which in our case is for the circle members it's standard. That's mostly related to milestone reviews and some side activities in case of any retrospectives or some small task. And yeah, that was the agreement there, that we basically take the same way that we have been following previously through the activity list and the amount of hours we spend on a specific milestone review. Yeah, same goes for the coordinators. We have those specific lineups of activities, which mainly includes coordinations, and for coordinators mostly depends. Our work is directly correlated to what our circle members are performing, and also which includes auditing of reports and all that other stuff related to milestone deliverables and the audit teams. And yeah, our consensus was reached to what we have been using for previously. So yeah, and it was also mentioned in the half-yearly report. So more insight can be found over there.
So basically, you want to leave it as is. That is your conclusion.
Yes, our conclusion.
All right. Yeah, I don't think that needs a lot of elaboration. At least not from me. Any questions? Anybody else?
Maybe the question is, what exactly was the way you do it before? Like, so you have a few tasks that are 20, and then how is that decided? Is like a decision made by each person, or I was a bit confused. Like,
No, the decision was made in a way that we follow the same format that we have been using. For coordination task, it's $20 rate, but other than the coordination, it's the same way that it's $10 rate. Same goes for milestone reviews and others as well.
All right, awesome. Thank you. And now it's super clear. Thank you, Slade. We have Tommy and Vanny with their hands up. Tommy, please. I think you were first.
Thank you. Yeah, Slade, good report. Anecdotally, the review circle, Rojo and I were the first two guys there, and we pretty much set it up with Jan and Raphael that $20 was more for the supervision process, and if the supervisors or the coordinators were attending a meeting, it would be $10, the same as the reviewers. Then when we moved on to the focus group, or I rotated out so other people could come in and gain experience, and I rotated to the focus group, we kind of set it up, and this is all anecdotal for everybody. We kind of set it up the same way for the focus group at $10 and $20. When we're in a regular meeting, it's $10. When we're doing higher level, it's $20. So it's interesting to watch this expansion and the evolution of this process. And I'll be very interested at the end of today what experiments different circles take on. This is a very interesting democratic and decentralized process, I believe.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Tommy. Vanny, would you like to say something, or Slade, would you like to say anything on Tommy's comments? Sorry, Vanny. Oh, all good, right? Slade?
Yeah, yes.
Awesome. Vanny, please go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to rate, I mean, nice report. Thanks for that, Slate. Really interesting. I was just wondering, when you've got people doing things at a $10 rate, have you found that there's any issues about how many hours they put in for? And how do you then resolve that if people feel like, I don't know, that they're not happy with the $10, or are they making themselves happy with the $10 by putting in very high amounts of hours?
We didn't had a specific discussion directly on this topic yet, but yeah, right now from the technical team side, we haven't received anything. I haven't received anything that says that the $10 rate is not what they want or the reviewers want. And yeah, sometimes we have reviews that take longer or more amount of hours, and the other reviewers put it in their review sheet as well, because it sometimes include direct communication with the awarded teams, and that sometimes lead to more amount of hours. But other than that, I think most of the time it's an average rate that our reviewers put, that's 2 to 4 hours per review.
Awesome, thank you, Slate. Hope your question is answered, Vanny. I think it was pretty comprehensive. And if it is, Jan, please go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question in the same trade direction as Vani, but the opposite. If everybody in the circle say it's great to have these tasks at 20 and it's great to have these tasks at 10, we totally agree with that. Are there people in your circle that would say, well, actually, I would like to do the $20 tasks in attendance, so give them to me for a while? Or is everybody not only in agreement with the difference in payment, but also in agreement that it's always the same people doing the same kind of tasks?
Actually, both in a way, because when we discuss this, for meeting participation, we have the same amount of payments. So other than coordination, any other task is mostly paid in $10 rate. So yeah.
So that is great, right? So if a number of people in the review circle only get paid $10 for their task, but at the same time they are in total agreement that other people in the circle might get a majority of tasks paid for $20, but they're saying, I'm glad that they're doing that work for $20 because I don't want to do it. I'd rather stick to my $10 hour because I like that a lot better. Then we are at a good principle, conceptually at a good situation, I would say.
Yes, exactly. That's what I said, that personally I haven't received any request of changing to $20 an hour. Even when I discussed it in the meeting, there was no request.
All right. Let's continue to the next one. Thank you, Slate.
Awesome. Thank you, Slate, and thank you to the review circle. Now let's move on to the marketing circle. We have who do we have here? We have here Judith. I'm not sure if she's the one speaking or not, or if we have Juan Pablo as well.
Yeah. I can somewhat speak to it. We had a meeting and I opened a channel thread. Out of the 13 members, only 2 people gave me feedback saying it's fine as it is. So it's not that I can give you a whole bunch of data here. The marketing circle members haven't been too engaged. Some have said they're too busy right now. Some have changed their mind saying they want to leave. And a lot of people haven't even finished their first task yet. So that's likely why people do not have an opinion on it, because they've never done any work. So right now, marketing circles mainly new people, so I don't have any data on how engaged they will be yet and if a flat rate would make sense. We're onboarding a new batch of people, so I would have to have the conversation again with them, and I can probably give some more insights. I can give my perspective. So last year, Mauro had introduced a $20 role-based pay, meaning $20 if your role is coordinator, like $20 flat rate. He had also introduced the hourly flat rate, which was 11 hours per week for coordinators, so coming to a total of 44 hours. That would be, yeah, that has to be like what you do as a coordinator. I decided for myself that I do not want to do the flat hour thing because of my unpredictable work and travel schedule. So I decided for myself, I'm going to log the hours as I actually worked them because I thought that's fairer to the deep funding treasury. And I decided on a categories of tasks that I will do as a volunteer as well that I do not log at all. But that was just my decision. I have been told that $20 for coordinators is across the circle. Then at some point, the conversation came up in December, where it turned out that's not the case. So Mauro at the end left the circle. I decided I'm not going to do that if it's not a thing in deep funding. So I started logging by task difficulty, although I have to say it doesn't make that much of a difference because in a marketing circle, the tasks are mainly coordination, because it is a bit more difficult. Because marketing coordinates with all the circles. They coordinate with partners. Marketing circle coordinators get a lot more requests. Plus, they have to be aware of what's going on in the entire, like in all the other circles. So it is technically a more difficult role, and it is definitely more headache than just being a circle member. So yeah. I would keep I got rid of the coordinator flat rate pay. I would keep the $10 and $20 based on difficulty. And then I think for marketing circle, it would make sense to have a project-based pay for projects that require a lot of hours. For example, doing the community website or running a whole PR campaign or making a series of videos, like anything that requires more than 20 hours, I would probably do as a flat rate project pay, so that you don't have to log in, I don't know how many hours. Or for example, event organization, when we started organizing the event for Istanbul, I mean, it was so many hours. I think it would have made sense just to do like, this is a flat rate that's fair to pay because it's a big project. Here's a flat rate pay for that project, and that's it. So I think for larger projects, I would go with a fair flat rate pay. And for anything else, I would probably keep the $10 and $20 based on difficulty, not based on coordinator role. But that's just my opinion. And hopefully I'll get some more input from the other circle members or the new circle members that will be coming in over the next weeks.
If I can
Awesome.
question, yeah, sorry, Raphael. Go ahead.
Please. No, I was just gonna give you the word, so please go ahead. Thanks,
Yeah,
Jim.
so if you're saying, so I think that's a very interesting concept to say regular task or hours are task-based and etc. And we'll find a way for that. But if we have larger chunks of works which go outside the normal process, like your Istanbul project, for instance, we'll make a separate thing out of that. And if you're saying flat fee for that, would you mean that would be a project-based amount? So at the beginning you estimate, well, this probably will take me this much of time, and let's put a price on it, and then we're done.
Yeah, and if it takes you way more hours, that's then kind of your fault. Like, you get the flat rate base pay, and yeah, you should be able to do it for that price. Unless something goes completely wrong and it's actually way more work, then we can negotiate on it. But yeah, ideally we want to avoid that people are just logging endless hours, and then it just becomes more and more expensive and all of that. So the flat rate would kind of protect you from things going way overboard.
Yeah, and
And
it
people just have to do a lot
reduces
of
the
hours.
overhead. It reduces the overhead as well. And yeah,
Yeah.
I think it gives some flexibility to the whole rigid system of 10 versus 20. So I like that suggestion. Thank you.
Awesome. Raphael, you have your hand up, please.
Yep, thank you. Yes, I do like the idea. Makes sense. However, it falls under the same issue that every idea I have around this falls, which is the decision. Okay, you say to me that, yeah, I will need 100 hours to do this Istanbul project. And then who is going to decide and know that, okay, 100 hours is good enough, and say, yes, you are going to receive this amount of dollars, or whatever you are your indicator is. It might be not hours because it's a really tough job to do and you are going to spend 10 hours, but it's going to cost a lot, right? So this is still something that we see. It's providing a service, a project. So it involves in cooperative world, it involves negotiation, better understanding. You are going to create a commercial proposal for us, and etc., 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 in order for us to reach the right amount of money to be paid. That's the only issue, but a really critical issue that I see in such a situation. Yes, I see the value of, okay, this is a regular task. So posting on X or social media, boom, 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 $10 an hour or whatever. But this one is once in a time. Let's do it differently. But what's the decision here? I've had another 2 or 3 ideas that always goes to this decision framework, and so to not be centralized and etc.
Well, it would kind of be like a mini proposal, right? Like it would basically work like putting in a proposal. And then the circle could look over it and decide, yeah, that's reasonable or not.
Let's not get too stuck into who decides right now. We can figure that out later. It's a separate question. One thing is what is the best method, and the other thing is how do we decide things. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago when I showed you that large diagram that maybe we need to have some kind of financial circle that makes decisions on things, also like events or whatever. Maybe that's a solution. Maybe we can just have Raphael make all these decisions for us. I don't know, but I would separate the how from the what, if I can phrase it like that.
Awesome.
Okay.
Just for clarification, Raphael, it's me. I'm the one making all the decisions. I'm joking.
Yeah, you will save me some sleep. Yes, please do it.
All right. Let's move forward, I guess, to the next circle. And I think it's going to be the event circle. So yeah, no need to call anyone. I hope I'm not missing anyone. If I am, no, operations first. Operations. Sorry, guys. This is confusing. Operations. It's your turn, not events. Please go ahead. I don't know if it's Victor, or I don't know if Jojo is here.
I can talk, but I don't know if it's quite noisy. I'm in the car, so can you hear my voice all right?
Yes,
Yes.
it's pretty good so far.
Okay, great. Well, in our case, a lot of the work that we have been doing have been development. And there was a discussion before that we had that the development work would be a $20 task. And I think maybe a week or 2 weeks ago, we had a conversation with Jan, and it was made clear that if there is something that is like, I would say like a more complex task, development oriented, then it would be treated to the side and it would be negotiated, I would say like separately, but for normal tasks or normal fixing of errors and all this kind of stuff for the platform and all the other development work, that would go with the standard of the $10 task. I was okay with that. I mean, I told the people from the circle about it. I think one developer wasn't very happy about it, but then I said like, if there is like really something more complex or something, we can talk to Jan and Raphael and just sort it out. I would say like development work, especially from the ground up, like hiring a full stack, like $10 like wouldn't get you that far. That's my opinion. But still, I think we can make some things happen. For the schema of things, I still think like the hours login system would work best for us, mainly because we're like a task-based kind of circle. So we have like specific tasks that needs to be done, and it's kind of a standard in the industry.
All right. All right. Awesome. Uh, Jan has his hand up, please. Jan.
Yeah, just a quick comment because Roho also referred to a conversation that we had. I think there's a parallel here with marketing. Actually, so automation has done amazing work with the portal. I'm very grateful for that. But we're also thinking of making a project out of that and then outsourcing it to an organization. And it might be that some of the same people might be involved in that, but it's a project and it's estimated, it's defined, there are technical definition, etc. So it's a little bit similar to what Judith just mentioned, with a much bigger scope in this case, I would say. And therefore, I also argued, well, if we are moving significant, substantial amounts of work towards a project-based approach that will have a project budget, then I think we should align the regular work that we're doing with the rest of the circles, and currently aiming for that $10. And Roho, just to make sure that I'm understanding you clearly, you want to continue on an hourly based basis, right?
Yes, indeed, indeed. I talked to Safa, I talked to Amin. I think Mayor also, we had a conversation in chat about this as well. All of us are on the same page, so it's like the hourly base is to be continued with the standard $10. There is still the coordination task. I'm not sure it is well defined at this point what coordination means. For me, like getting people to do a specific task and this kind of things is coordination. How do you measure it? It's open, so I think I'm even removing it from my own task sheet because I don't know what coordination is at this point. I might even be in favor of just like a flat $10, and then anything that is like a specific emergency or a task or something that there could be a conversation where that could be increased in specific cases based on conversations and not just like throwing it out there. I might be in favor of something like that.
So sorry, that last part, are you aiming for a flat fee like the focus group then, or?
Oh no, no. Because our work really varies. Some months are just like peaking. I'm very sorry. The car, it's quite noisy here. But because our work is like, task based, some months might have like a peak. Some months might have not much going on. So I would say like hourly based, I would be in favor of a flat 10 USD per hour. It would be nice if it's higher than that, but for now, I guess we can standardize it. And
All right.
if there is something specific, we can negotiate a higher rate for some specific time.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Awesome. Thank you, Roro. And if there's any questions or comments, also feel free to raise your hand and talk, of course. If not, I guess we move forward, and hopefully I'm not forgetting about anyone and we can move forward with the event circle. And on our side, I also don't have a presentation, but we had I think it ended up to be two discussions about this actually. And it was an interesting process where we came with a lot of different ideas, and then we ended up reaching some agreement. And I think it's all about categorization and aligning incentives. And for us, we wanted to have the leadership tasks, coordination tasks at the $20 rate. We like to have as well tasks related to creating new processes or documentation at a $20 rate as well, being tasked with more responsibility, and also tasks that happen usually once. And then we have the part of hosting events as well as a $20 rate, as it's been a challenge sometimes to find people to host events and to like to do that. That's it. All the other tasks, all the other processes we execute normally, it's at a $10 rate. Yeah, and one thing we discussed as well, and I think to bring it up is like we did a bunch of risks and what are the problems with this, and we have ways to counter it, but I don't want to bore you with some of the details. But basically, the with this solution, I think maybe one of the thing that is missing and might be missing in some of the circles is like besides the coordinators pushing you, sometimes there's not that much incentives to work as a team and to reach common goals. Besides that fact, so maybe having like a system where you at the beginning of each year you set goals. Those goals are accepted by the overall community or whoever is in charge of that. And if you're able to reach these goals which align with deep funding, maybe having a bonus for all the circle members as a way to incentivize collaboration would be an interesting thing to test. And on our side, that's it. So any questions, comments, please feel free.
So if I listened good enough while making some notes, you are aiming for hourly based, some tasks higher paced than others due to popularity of the task or whatever. And
complexity and responsibility and stuff like that, yeah.
And on top of that, you propose to have maybe a bonus if you reach certain KPIs.
Yeah, ideally it would be, yeah, like something like we set expectations every 6 months for the circles, right? And if we could reach certain numbers, which hopefully are ambitious and beneficial for deep funding, then we could have a bonus for the whole team, not for anyone specifically. Of course, there's challenges with that, naturally. But there's also benefits, so it's a matter of
Question
waiting.
that comes to mind is who defines these KPIs, these challenges? You can make them really low or really high. So
yeah, the process is the real process. I mean, should be the circle, right? Evaluating the KPIs, but there should be, of course, a process for acceptance, right? Or else it's what
decision, as I mentioned before.
Exactly.
Yes, the decision. It's always the bottleneck. That was what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Yes, of course. But then I guess this means we have a need to create, I guess, some decision processes for some of these things.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. So here is about the bonus. One thing is who is receiving it? I know everyone, but imagine that someone joins the circle at the last day of the half year. So is this person, this member also, someone worked 5 months and 20 days there in the circle and then leaves, it's not going to receive as well, and so on. So there are some minor instances to check.
You can just do that pro rata of the number of hours that you've worked, divided based on that. So also if somebody was there for 6 months, but he didn't do so much, and another person did a lot, then you will also get a larger part of the bonus.
And then it brings overhead. Yes, I'm not being against, I'm just raising some points here because we also have to take care about the overhead of these processes. I'm just pointing some things here as operations manager. Yeah. And I don't want to splash any idea here, okay, guys? Totally okay of hearing and ready to contribute.
Distribution, I think that would be not the most difficult one. The difficult one would be determining what the goals are to make them ambitious enough, but still reachable. Question would also be if this is only for this particular circle or if it's the same for other circles. And the third challenge would be measuring it. How can we measure whether the goals are the goals measurable enough, and who will determine who will do the measurement? Well, I can answer that one as well, but yeah, there are pros and cons to every solution.
Yeah, we now even have an analytics circle and an operations so. I guess we're being able to measure more things, I believe, by day. Ayo, you had your hand up. You want to say something?
Yeah, Jan read my mind, so.
All right.
One more word on KPIs. I've been there before in my working life, and they tend to have, if you're not careful, they can work out very perversely in unforeseen ways. For instance, you have this KPI to do some particular task, and then some other task comes along, or somebody asks for your help, and then you can say, "Oh no, it doesn't work for my KPI, so why should I?" And now, from now on, I only do the things that are supporting this KPI, and all the rest I don't care about. So, and it's very, very hard to make good KPIs that way. So, but yeah, take it from a person with some gray hairs. Speaking of gray hairs, Tony.
I was going to comment. I may have a few more than you. The discussion on a bonus is interesting, and Raphael, I appreciate your comments on the bureaucracy or the overhead that may get incorporated in certain measurements and metrics. But it also brings to mind we're parsing this out currently on a circle basis. Yet we haven't looked at this on a holistic basis. We're a team. There's now 30 members or so on the team. There's X number of circles. And we're only looking at the goals from a monetary standpoint on a circle by circle basis. But what about the entire team? If we have goals for the team for the year, should not the whole team get awarded on a maybe a bonus kicker? What if you two guys don't meet your goals to our satisfaction? Should you contribute back to the individual circle because you didn't, and we'll call that a hockey penalty or a soccer penalty? Those are some of the things I just want to raise, but I think we should look at this on more of a holistic basis, this whole payment thing, because not only is it money that's at stake, but what about the currency of reputation and the prestige of deep funding to the rest of the DeFi world? Should we not be looking at that also?
Yeah, I totally agree. It should be holistic. Also, I think it's almost impossible to set goals in a totally correct way. I might do something surprising tomorrow, which nobody ever thought about, but which is the greatest thing since sliced bread or whatever. But it's not in the KPIs because we didn't see it coming. So that would argue for a KPI or a bonus-based system that is more subjective, where some committee defines how good people did, and yeah, then you get in a whole different situation. But I would suggest I think it's an interesting one. I'm not dismissing it. I think it's an interesting one. We can continue to discuss this. But let's park it for now as one of the options and continue on the next presentation.
Awesome. So let's move forward and let's go, I believe, with the Dev Outreach Circle. I don't know who's going to be talking in the name of the Dev Outreach, if it is Ubio, Andrea, or I know Judith is there as well.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can, Ubio. Please go
All
ahead.
right, okay. Yeah, so quick one. I think for us it was a unanimous agreement. Hopefully it passes, or we thought that the best way for us as a circle would be to have a two-tiered system, right? Where one, we have payments all in $10 for everything irrespective of what's been done, and an allocation that comes monthly to us that we can use to actually fix up whatever we're doing, right? So, for example, this is how I would present it. We do have this. Okay, let's say so. We currently feel stifled with the current system because there's a limit to how much we can be creative without always having to um, um, seek permission from far, right? So, for example, we have people who just want to go out and create partnerships, talk to somebody, they want to travel to another city. That is not captured, right? All of that hours of that activity cannot be captured in 10 hours, right? So most times we just give excuse to the person why you shouldn't do and all those, give just different excuses. But we felt like if we had our own allocation, we on ourselves can be like, all right, so without necessarily asking deep funding, we can allocate budget for certain things, right? We are having a hackathon, we're having a pitch event, whatever we're doing, and then we can allocate members to do certain things just the same way we would have gotten paid anybody to execute that project, and then members actively are doing things. So we can have an internal budget that we can redistribute to different stuffs depending on whatever we are having. So I'm just putting it this way. Let's assume that we have everybody reduces their ask $10 irrespective of what you're doing. Now all those other circle tax that we were always having that was $20 would now rather go into money that comes directly to the what we call the dev outreach circle budget or wallet, whatever that is. Now within ourselves, right, we can now have the agency or the independence to think about, oh, I think you should travel to here. We think you should do this. Or why not call this person? Why not do this on our own? And we can allocate those resources to different things at different points in time, depending on what is coming out as we are having those. So we thought we would everything reduce to 10, irrespective of what you're doing, and then a fixed budget that comes to the wallet. And then we know, all right, at any point in time, ideas are coming. There is a budget to foot that without necessarily having to go back to the payment cycle and the operations and keep requesting and being like a burden to them. So that's what we thought.
All right, awesome, Mubio. Any comments? I guess the challenge here is probably once again decision how to decide which budget is proper for the circle and for the initiatives you might want to carry. So I guess that's a similar challenge probably. I don't know if anybody else has a comment.
If I may, without putting my hand up, I see some similarity here with what we encountered with marketing, with specific projects, with automations, with specific project-related things, and that also fits to developer outreach with whether it's a hackathon, I would say, is a very specific thing. It's almost like a funding initiative, so I think that should always be funded separately. And yeah, whether it's a budget that we give to developer outreach at the beginning of the year or whatever, or whether there is a process there, hey, we want to do this thing, and we would require an additional budget on top of our regular things. Yeah, that's to be determined, I think. My expectation would be, Ubio, that if you would be assigned some kind of budget to do hackathons and such, let's put it a different way. If you are doing very useful things in developer outreach, I wouldn't want you to be restricted by a budget. So I wouldn't want to have the situation where you are saying, well, we want to have a bootcamp and we want to have onboarding service and we want to do a hackathon, but yeah, we only have budget for a hackathon. So let's not do the other things. I'd rather have you come to me and Raphael or whatever and say, hey, we want to do 5 hackathons this period. So can you pay for it? And probably I will say yes, if it's just as successful as the last one. So not 100% sure if a budget per period is the best, but yeah, having some budget steered activities might certainly be interesting.
Yeah, just to add to that, the budget was not necessarily for events and programs and projects. It was just like a little budget that that can be used to run around and do other things, not necessarily about the projects and programs we are having. So that was what, and we don't expect it to be a big budget actually.
Yeah, okay. No, that makes more sense. Then I have a better understanding. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Any more comments? Anything else anyone want to say? If not, we can move forward and we can go. I guess it would make sense to add them as well. The data analytics circle, right? You already have a page as well. And don't worry, onboarding, you can go after once
I'm
you
not
feel
sure if they
appropriate.
prepared something, but let's ask them.
Do we still have Edwin? Israel is also right on the data analytics.
To be honest, I had a short discussion with them on this, and they are so. Israel has been mostly on the operations circle until recently, and we're just starting now with 3 other people in the analytics circle, with also Onise and Oscar, together with Edwin and Israel. And I think probably it's too early for you guys to have a clear decision on them. So I let them off the hook for this time. But hey, guys, if you have your opinion, have a statement, then please go ahead.
All right. If you have, please just raise your hand and feel free to start. If not, I can ask also the onboarding circle. I know they are new, but I don't know if you happen to have discussed these in any way, if you want to talk, or if you don't, it's okay. But I guess I wanted to give opportunity to everyone, right? So I see that we have here like Vanny and we have Monica, which I believe are both on the onboarding. I'm not sure if you want to say something.
Yeah, we have discussed it, but I think what we've said is that because we are so new and we're still mapping out the scope of what we want to do, we'd be happy to keep it for now at like kind of how things work currently. And I think we'd be looking at everything being a $10 task because we're all kind of wanting to keep it on a level. But I think it won't be long before we start wanting to move towards either the kind of approach that Ubio was talking about with kind of like a project budget or a kind of stipend, but we can't really get to that until we see what work we're going to do. And there's 4 of us at the moment, and we've kind of thought about what we need, and we probably need at least one other person, so that could affect, sort of setting a budget as well. So yeah, it's kind of, we'll hold on for now, and I think we need to just get more data on what we're doing before we can really say.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Vanny, and thank you to the onboarding circle. And now I guess we can open up for discussion. Any topics we have around these, any comments, any remarks? I think is a great time to talk about whatever you want. I'll see you, Jan, but I'll continue speaking a little bit more. Because now it's the time of the session where we can go into things that are not specific to the circles, just in general, whatever you want to discuss and bring up. It's a great time to do it. On that note, Jan, you were very quick with your button, please.
Yeah. So I would like to summarize what I've heard here. And what I'm hearing, well, what I don't hear,
I'm sorry, Jan, because I did a little presentation here in this work group of culture and identity, and I think I want to be the last. So
go ahead.
So please, yeah. I heard a lot of things that for me it's very important to say. Let me raise your hand. And please, I need to share the presentation, Rafael, but I don't have that.
Closed now. Is this presentation related to the payments or is it related to something else?
That's a point that I want to share with you, because I can't just tell about I just can't talk about payment without saying this in a systemic view or in a high perspective. So it's a little presentation that I want to share here, like liking points of considerations. But I need to explain a little bit about the organic organizations that was my base to contribute for this, because it's not decide the payment. I think it's more than that. So can I go on? Can I go on?
I think so. Yeah, please go
Yeah.
ahead. And it's just not loading yet. It's loaded the image, but the slides say that they are loading still. We can see your
Yeah,
image.
you're not seeing my yeah, you're not seeing.
Are your slides working for you? Because for us,
Yeah, for me it's okay.
oh,
I
so no,
will
it was
share.
saying loading, at least for me, the slides. It was not the Zoom share, it was specifically the slide presentation.
Yeah. Are you seeing now?
Not yet. Wait a minute. Just give it some time. Sometimes it takes a while. Try to share and give it some time.
Here, I will share. And now, yeah.
Can you open it up completely?
No. Oh, yeah. Now it's okay.
Yeah, now it's okay.
Okay, and Monica, we need to be quick, okay, because we still have to also discuss. If you can go directly to your findings and etc., would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, first of all, the first thing that I need to put here, that's organic organizations and how they treat and how they can create a fair. Oh, yeah. So that's it. I wrote to not to lose myself. So I know that we have a tension here, and tension, it's a yeah, I will see. Tension, it's things that it's the way that evolved the organization. So it's not, we are going to have a lot of tensions. Financial, it's just one. So the first thing that's it's very important, and how to treat these tensions, how to treat this and how to handle these tensions. This is to decide a fair share and recognitions. But it's more than that. It's shape our culture and shape our structure. So I can't see just isolate. So in the perspective of O2, it's important to talk about it and to see this kind of structure that it's the same of the deep founding. It's like circle, but have a lot of things that's very different and can be and can contribute a lot in this challenger. The first of all, it's a map of agreement. We need to have more clearly the map of agreement, how we are going to work in this case. And the important things based on tensions is to create, and I will jump here because it's the way that O2 functions. They just base on tensions, they focus on tensions, and the tensions could be personal or could be a general tensions. We are talking here not a general tension, but we are talking some personal tensions too. So the prototype and some process, and we need to think about a new process about this and a new politics. And it's important to, and that's the way that I think that I can contribute, to experiment this kind of interventions. And the first of one is to co-create agreements, not only to save space, but to handle these tensions and adopt a new format of regular meeting and rituals. Each circles should handle these own tensions, but they need a method to give space for belonging and monitoring the actions and agreements and identifying these tensions and handle this in a collaborative way. And that's the important thing. And the other thing that O2 do too is explicitize these tensions and the roles and the team's structures, because it's not the task, it's inside the roles. And when you have a roles that have very clearly what's the value or what's their level of autonomy, it's better to be more autonomous. And the other things that O2 do too is create communication tools and protocols. Every experience, and always is experience, is stored in a kind of pattern library that can be used as need by each individual or circle. So we are going to have a lot of patterns or experiments that each circle could use to handle this kind of tension. In this way is a financial tensions or something like that. And through this experiment, they're going to interfere and experience the culture. So I'm clear just now. So in the practical example in the O2, they create a partnership circle. It's not a financial circle, yeah. It's a partner that each representative of each circle gets together to discuss and decide this kind of topic that interfere the culture and interfere the structure and interfere the way that people would feel about their motivation, desires, or something like that. So it's a practical example to have this not, it could be a committee, but each representative of the circle create this circle, partnership circle, to define this challenge to be a fair salary and recognition. The other example is a clarity of value-based model. The most important thing that I think that O2 can contribute for DEF is clarity, focus on tensions, and the clarity of how to make decisions. And that could be discussed in this circle or can be discussed in this committee or this partner circle. So the first thing, for this flat hour, we can choose complexity experts in impact roles. Just an example. Each member could see this to say, oh, my task, it's I think it's a double flat or a half double flat. And then it's important to have dialogue. It's important to have others' perspective. And then the other perspectives or the committee could do this too, could see and share their perspective and open this space and for validation. It's a little example. So we can say about the role, you say about the task, and you can say about which perspective each one give for the complexity, expertise, and impact. And then they talk about it with other persons or in the circle or in this committee or in this partnership to say, oh, if I have three high things, high perceptions, so it's a double flat payment. If I have just one or two, we can say 1.5 payment. So it could be $50. And if I have just one, it could be just a flat. It's just an example, and you can talk about a person too. So each person could say, oh, I think I need a double, and I have some criteria, but I need to check with you if it's my perception, it's okay and could be like this, or can give another example who person it's important to talk about to decide this together. But the most important of everything is the clarity. And we could have just a framework about the roles that it's a high value, or we can just talk with each one. So the most important thing, in my view, is to treat tensions in this clarity of decisions. And it would be very good if we have a circle of partnership, because it's also the important about this challenge about culture, because culture is a live thing, and deciding how to decide things, it's very important to it's an issue that's very important to talk about. So
Awesome. Thank you, Monica. This was really cool and an interesting framework as well, like a different way to think about the payments,
yeah,
not just hourly.
And important is not a right one. We have just like a menu or something that you can choose. But this circle, that's partnership with all the representatives, could decide. We have this kind of it's a lot of things that we can decide, and each circle could choose a framework or something like that, or discuss in particular with exceptions, and that's it.
Awesome. Thank you. Tommy, you had your hand up. Do you still want to say something?
No, in view of brevity, I will reserve my remarks.
All right. Awesome. We have Jan with the hand up. Jan?
In that case, I would like to say something about it. Thank you, Monica. Would also have been a good introduction for the meeting that we have, because I think one of the things we were doing in this meeting was exactly what you were saying. Raphael and me mentioned there is some tension in what we set out to do and where we are today. And we are getting input right now from all the circles in order to get to some kind of agreement. So I think we're already following a lot of your framework without knowing it. Small remark on that financial circle. We have talked about situations where we have circles that have one person of all circles in it. We have purposefully not gone that way, because that would create some kind of hierarchy in the organization, because one circle is more important than the other. But when I say financial circle, I don't make any assumption yet about who is in there. It could be people from other circles, like a kind of a situation like that. Could even be complete outsiders as an experiment, see how that will work. I have no idea. It could be just Raphael and me, or the focus group. I don't know. But just when I was speaking about it was about an entity. One more thing. Let me ask you a question. If we would go through this process, how much time do you think it would cost us to come to a final agreement in terms of lead time? And how much time would it take from each individual personally, and doing your own assessment, doing team assessment, going into meetings, all of that together?
You are asking to me?
Yeah. So you're proposing a kind of, right, where you do a self-assessment and other assessment, and you have group sessions, and then you come to a kind of conclusion together. So I have two questions there. What would be the lead time? Would it take 2 weeks or 3 months or more? Or is it something that goes on perpetually? And how much time would be involved from every single person here?
Yeah, I can't tell you exactly, but I forgot to say that's very important thing, that it's a kind of meeting, that it's a step-by-step meeting that help to handle these questions in a short time. And it's important to do that, to have this space. But I don't know how much time we have to.
The reason why I bring it up is that it's one thing to implement such a framework in an organization with full-time people. We are all part-timers. Many of us just spend only a couple of hours a week on what we're having to do here. So if we have to engage in a lot of conversations like this, and probably we won't agree very quickly, then my concern would be that maybe more than half of our time at some point will be spent on talking about payment instead of doing actual work. So that is a concern, and I think we also see it happening in other parts of our ecosystem.
I think in the first time we could spend a little more time, but then will be less, because the most important is not decide just the most important is not to discuss or decide this policy of payment, but it's to introduce a kind of meeting and this kind of circle that could accelerate and help more clarity to the decisions and
Yeah, I'm all for that. That's the essence of this meeting right now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
And we can do
But
that on a more formal, structured way, and maybe do that with a certain frequency and have certain topics. The question, would you say that in a meeting like that, everybody should be there, or just representatives of circles or something?
I think sometimes depends of the issue could handle by their own circle. Could handle this, and this kind of issue could be handled in this partner circle. The representative of each circle brings together to decide what we are going to this big framework, and then each circle could be their choices.
So I saw the example of the partner circle. Is that an example? We could have a circle about partnerships as one particular topic?
Yeah, it's not only by financial topic, but this partner circle with the representative of all the circles will help build this culture and decide other things that will be a lot of tensions that we're going to have later.
Please, I have another point to make. So my concern is still that this will take a lot of overhead. I think in many Web3 programs, we see that people talk and talk and talk, and they have a great time talking. But it's the balance between discussing things and actually doing stuff is sometimes not that favorable. And deep funding is very much about doing stuff. We want things done. And I agree that there needs to be some level of talk. This is why we have this meeting and we have other meetings. But I'm not sold yet on the idea on how and how many meetings, etc. I do have one more comment to make, which is a little bit, and want to make a quick summary of what we did today. But Raphael, maybe you want to go first here?
Well, just quickly, Jan, what she's proposing is what you also proposed at the beginning when you brought the circle strategy, but we dismissed it. Remember that super circle or something that would have one each, but then we discovered that this will bring some hierarchy, and we don't want to have a hierarchy. One of the discussions, Monica, wait. When we have the discussions about the 10/20, it was also raised this. We don't want to have hierarchies where we have coordinators receiving more money, even if it's just a small gap here, for us to avoid this. So the 20 should be related to the task. But jumping out this here now, it's we discussed this part, and we dismiss it. Of course, we can open the dialogue again around this. It's totally possible. We are in a new frame for the circles. At the beginning it was something, now it's another thing. So I see, and also, as you mentioned, Monica, which is very important, it's not only for the payment and decision on the payment, it's for a broader situation where we are going to discover the pains of circles and members of circles and how to deal. I see here two things to remark. First, when the focus group started, it was exactly to this. It was to be a liaison in between the community and us in deep funding, finding these issues and what the community really wanted and bring to us in a more concise way, in a way that we could grasp, because it was a lot of information, so they would do that. We deviated a bit because of reasons that took there to make. So yeah, we can discuss this, but we have been there, okay, just to let you know this here. I had another remark to do, but now I forgot. So Jan, please go on.
Monica wants to react, I think.
Yeah, Monica, please.
Yeah, because it's not a hierarchy, but it's a representative circle. And the most important thing, it's not a thing that will be only validate and define in this circle. Because if someone has tensions, these tensions in this kind of meeting should be identified, and then we are going to adjust this. So it's always adapting, but we are not going to be assertive with a large group to decide things. We need a representative group, decide things, like an experiment, go to the Dale, and then if someone has tensions, we can treat personally or in the circle or in the big circle. That's
okay. Yeah, I remembered what I was about to say. Sorry here. We can be before, we can handle the situations before, then what's happening now. I suddenly discovered what was happening, and then we jumped in to try to solve. In this case, with such a structure, we might discover this beforehand and not wait for the problem to raise in order to solve it. That's a good thing. But something that perhaps you didn't give too much attention in your presentation, which would be very nice for this call here, and we can discuss another time, is the framework that you built. That was kind of interesting, more than the whole picture, the holistic thing here. It was more to the point, the framework, the matrix that you built. We can bring this to discussion as well. Okay, and thank you for that one.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack here, and we won't be able to discuss all that in the proper length and depth during this call. On the topic of hierarchy, it's very hard to resist hierarchy. Apparently, when you create a large enough structure, hierarchies seem to appear. We see that within circles, and it's very easy to see that also on top of circles. I'm also not 100% convinced that hierarchies are evil, that we shouldn't have them. We are in an experiment. We try to avoid it. Maybe at some point we'll find that we need some kind of hierarchy. And if we all agree on that, and it's the right kind of hierarchy with the kind dynamics, then yeah, maybe that's not the worst thing. On the topic of having representatives to decide on things, I agree. It's not useful, except this is an exception, but usually it's not useful to discuss with 30 or 40 people a single topic. This is why we also started the thing of work groups. So if we have a specific topic, deep funding round X, or a new initiative, or culture and identity, we start a work group on that. So maybe we can think of this as a work group and then explore these things more deeply. So I think this isn't the end of it. This is the start of a conversation on how we can treat tensions, how we can discuss different kind of topics. Having said that, I would like to go back to the topic because this is a much more wider topic than just rewards, and I would like to go back to the topic of this meeting and wrap that up a little bit. So what I was about to say is that what I didn't hear anybody say here, nobody said, at least I didn't hear it. Well, maybe Rojo said something in that direction, but nobody said completely, let's get rid of that $20 or let's get rid of the $10 for that matter, and just have a flat rate or make it $12.50 as a flat rate. I don't know. Nobody. So there seems to be some idea that we have some differences in tasks and that might be rewarded in a different way. Interestingly enough, Monica, in the schedule that I saw in your screen, you were trying to determine the value or whatever of a task based on complexity, expertise, and impact. What I didn't see is responsibility as a metric. I mean, that's a separate thing for me. And what I also didn't see is what Rafael Cardoso mentioned is scarcity. Some things might not require special expertise, or very high expertise, but people just don't want to do it. For instance, being in a meeting on camera. It doesn't require expertise, but not everybody wants to do it. And if you happen to be a presenter, it would be great if you're on camera. So I don't think that matrix covers all the things that are there. I would say complexity and expertise are a potential distinguishing characteristic here. And maybe you could wrap up the others. We have responsibility, and I would say we have scarcity. And responsibility and scarcity, you could also combine them and say popularity. Some tasks are tasks that everybody wants to do, and some tasks are awkward for whatever reasons, and there are not enough people that want to do it. Now, if everybody here wants to take on responsibility and tell other people what to do, and it's the most popular task of all, well, maybe we don't need to start paying $20 for that, and maybe it's something else that better requires that $20. I don't know. So that's one thing we can think about, which types of tasks would determine would best be valued with a higher rate. And I can also imagine that is a discussion we can have per circle. Might be different per circle. Then there's another thing. It's about how many, what's the differentiation? Is it 80-20 with $10 and 20, or is it the other way around? Here I can see also different approaches. We can say certain tasks are 20, certain tasks are 10, and we'll see over time what the differentiation is if we have 20% of this or 80% of this, because it's task-based. The other option would be make it percentage. Say for circle X, this amount of task could be $20, and you sort out for yourself which task those are. It's a little bit aligned to what Ubio is saying to a specific budget. You could treat that as a budget for particular things if you want to use it that way within your circle. And the third one related to that would indeed be a budget and also budget-based things like we have a project, we give a budget for that. And that would be another a way of going about it. I think so. So I think we have still some decisions to make. I think what I'm hearing today is that there is some desire for some differentiations in rates. I also didn't hear anybody saying we have to look at the local wages or whatever. Somebody in Ethiopia should have a different rate than somebody in New York or something. And I'm very happy that I didn't hear that, by the way. So hopefully I'm not putting any ideas in somebody's head right now, but would like to keep it that way. So yeah, we're not there yet, but I do think we see some consensus emerging. So the consensus on differentiation, we see a number of examples where people want to have project or specific task-based things, and we need to define whether these $20 hours or the higher rate, whatever it is, will be task-based or percentage-based, or we'll leave it to each circle and we say, well, yeah, this is your percentage and work it out for yourself. Fanny, I'm very curious what you have to add to this.
Just that, number one, you said that nobody had said, let's get rid of the differentiation. And actually, Onboarding Circle did say exactly that for now, but only for now. We might rethink, but for now, we're going to keep it all at a tenner. And the other thing was, when you were sort of listing possible metrics, I just wanted to flag up one that I heard. Can't remember who said it. It might have been you, Rafael Cardoso, but it was the idea that tasks that are only done once are at a higher rate than repeating tasks. And I think that made a lot of sense. And I just thought it's one that you didn't list.
Interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting one. So if we want to say certain tasks are 20 and other 10, then the next question is, what do you do with new tasks? So yeah, and you give the answer right now. So that's an interesting one.
Sorry, I didn't get what's the answer to new tasks? I didn't get.
Repetitive tasks should be in a lower rate, and tasks that are one-off, that are new, should be in a higher rate, if I understand correctly, Fanny.
Yeah, it totally wasn't me who said it. I can't remember who it was, but it struck me.
One more observation that popped in my head on the bonus thing, to leave you with that. I think conceptually it's a great idea. If you are working, doing great things, then at the end of the period, whatever that period is, you will get some kind of bonus as an incentive. I've never seen it work in practice. And what I saw in practice is that if you would ask 10 people in an organization who are the highest valuable individuals here, everybody would be able to pick them. He's really good. He's really good. He's always available for others. But to frame that into a KPI structure that would actually bring the same outcome would be very, very hard. And of course, there might also be people that are invisible and doing really hard work that nobody points at, but maybe would also not surface in such a KPI thing. So that's one more last remark on the bonus thing from me. Paulo, or should I say polegato?
Legato. It's okay. Following the discussion, the meeting, something I think we can implement to start organizing, to have things more clear, is the self-selection payment rates. I think this creates some kind of tensions, because when I get on a task, I say, okay, this is so hard, so complex, maybe I'm not ready for this task. Maybe I'm junior in the senior task, so I try to put more 20, but I'm not ready for that. And maybe this can be bring for the circle and say, okay, guys, this task is not for me. It's more about the job done than about the money, because in the end, for example, I can say review circle. I can say, okay, if I not approve well a project, we'll have a bad project in the end. We'll not have a delivery, so all money we invest is spent. So everyone can justify to get this $20, $10, And I think this is interesting because we have the theory about Dunning-Kruger effects, where the people don't have misconception. They try to see if they are better than they can perceive it. So this, I think it's a point to take. Official policy to not self selection payment rate. I think it can be interesting.
All right, awesome. Rafael, you have your hand up?
Yep. Yeah, just quickly, connecting to what Paulo said. Indeed, I had such a discussion before with some members that, hey, this is very hard to do. That's why I requested $20. And I said, okay, and I had to study to do this. I had to learn about this to make it okay. So potentially it should be another person. But us as Deep Funding, we really want to improve our members professionally as a person and whatever. So yes, we are open to pay for you to study that particular topic, for you to improve yourself and support us as well with your development of this task. But you shouldn't consider $20. You should put, okay, I had to study for 5 hours this topic here, so I'm going to put $10 per hour here for my study, and then I spent another 20 hours executing, so it's a $10 per that per hour in that task. So that's the separation that we have to have. If it's hard, perhaps it's because it's not for you, but we still want to have you working on that. So we are open, given some thresholds, of course, to support your improvement to get there. Okay, this is in the current framework. We are discussing a new one, so this might be changing. We are establishing some, okay, 20% can be meetings, 80% of your total time should be work. We can also put some trainee rate. It can be also, Vani, we can create a third option. No, please, no. A third amount for training and study. But we can discuss for the person to reach that level that they can develop that task without being hard and having to charge $20, right? So yeah, just some thing that happened, and I see what Paul is talking now.
Yeah, I'm not against training budgets, for instance. So again, this is not a cost-saving operation per se. Would be a nice outcome, but that's not a reason. Yeah, if we could do away with the $20 and use the same budget that we're now paying for $20 and put that in a kind of training or education thing or whatever, I wouldn't be against that. So that could be interesting. Yeah, we'll think about how to follow this up. I can imagine that maybe we'll do a quick survey or a poll to get some specific answers after having listened to all of this. I think we'll have some discussions with the focus group, Rafael and me, on the next steps and the outcomes of this. That will be interesting. And yeah, I hope that pretty soon we'll come to a conclusion. And maybe in the meantime, we can still have that work group, Monica, or something else that will continue to monitor and listen and see if there are better options out there.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I think to be honest, personally, not as a host, but as circle member, it would be great to continue the conversations also on this topic. I think the framework Monica brought was interesting, especially the payment framework and also the ideas you had. Yeah, and I think that is very interesting as well. Maybe something interesting to explore and study. And of course, one point that was brought in the comments, and we didn't have the time to speak, so maybe that's why we should have another call on this, maybe in the next Open All Hands or something like that, was also the inflation, as Juan Pablo mentioned in a comment, that is the same rate since 2023. And I think as an organization who hopefully can stand the test of time, that will be a question we'll have to consider for the future, right? But Vani, as ends up.
Just really quickly, can you make it possible for people to save the chat? Because at the moment, I don't have those permissions, and there's some quite good stuff in there that would be useful to.
Yeah, not sure if I can do it for this call, but I'll try. I think I can I can provide you the chat if you send me a message afterwards, please, and I'll try to get it for you if that's okay. Awesome, but you're right. Some very valuable, very valuable conversations in the chat. I'm just saving it, in fact. All right. Awesome. So there's nothing more to say, more to add. Great conversation. Thank you guys for being here. A lot of productive ideas, a lot of great discussions, and hopefully we can continue with them and reach some awesome outcomes. So thank you, everyone. Have a good week, and I hope to see you all in the town hall next week, 6 p.m. UTC Thursday. All right, bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you all for sharing and for being here and letting us know what your opinions are. Appreciate it. It's a very important meeting. Thank you.